howdy ho there, fans, neighbors, all that good stuff. Tonight, this is just going to be a review and or an answering questions kind of deal for anybody that owns a third gen IROC or Camaro 82 to 92. I personally have been researching this and I wasn't sure. Luckily, I come across a rear differential that was affordable. And we have four-wheel disc brakes. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we put a fourth gen differential in a third gen IROC. This particular rear end come from a 2002 WS6 Trans Am. That's right, 6-speed car. Now, there's a couple different routes you can go. A lot of people don't know this because it's not well talked about, and I kind of wanted to keep this secret under my hat, but I'm going to let you guys in. So a lot of people don't know that a 10-bolt rear end, the factory drum brake one that fits in here, you can actually switch the guts out. This is a 9-bolt that I just got rid of. So anyway, but if this was the 10-bolt out of the Trans Am, you can switch the internals, put it in that, as long as you have 28 spline axles in your 10-bolt. A lot of people don't know that. And you can keep your stock rear end, emergency brake cable. See, now what I'm gonna have to do is make a bracket so my emergency brake works again. I had an actual working emergency brake. Brand new cables on this sucker. But you may ask why I switched the whole axle. Well, honestly, I wanted four-wheel disc brakes. And I did this not only for me, but for all of us third-gen fans that have questions as if it'll work. Will it fit? I mean, it fits. Now, I will tell you one thing. It fits flush. Maybe it's in just a scotch there. But your back wheel kind of sticks out a little bit further right there. Can you see that? Maybe a little bit further. Maybe not much at all. These rear ends are 1 inch wider than those, the factories. So you have a 1/2 inch on each side. Now I will tell you this, something that's even more gooder. Since I had already redone the brake line on the 9-bolt, and yes, it doesn't matter if you have the 9-bolt or the 10-bolt in it, swaps right in the spot, right into it. Bolts line up, springs line up, everything lines up, with the exception of the emergency brake cable. Now, if you have a full wheel disc car, I don't know. I can't answer that. I think I'm about 100% sure this car was a drum rear car. I don't know because the RPO code is missing. The whole tag is missing in the console. Why in the world would you get rid of that? Why? It's like the birth certificate of the car. You can tell everything about it. You know, what it had, what it didn't have. But anyway, hopefully, if you guys know where I can get a reproduction, actual factual RPO code thing, that sticker to put back in this car, I would greatly appreciate it, man. Just hit it up down there, will you? Because I would love to know what this car actually had factory. I have no idea. I know it was a factory IROC Z convertible, and that's it. And I only know that because of the VIN number and some other good gadgets on it. The speedo, the tune port. But, I mean, let's be honest. Within time, any of that could have been switched. But it does have the right transmission, or had the right transmission in it, with the right MXO code or something like that, which is like the heavy-duty 700R. And this blabbing is actually, it's free. I'm not charging anything for it. But anyway, I would say go with a 4th gen. I say go with a 4th gen rear end because they have better gear ratios. like one of the worst gear ratios in a 4th gen. And okay, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret, just a little bit more. So whenever you're picking your differential, look at the RPO codes in that particular model. You want to see a G80, which is a limited slip differential. And then it'll give you anywhere from like a GU4 to a GU6 code, I think. This one right here is the 342. Now, if you know anything about this particular year, the 345 was the performance gear ratio. I think we're pretty darn close. Hashtag winning. So, and the transmission in this particular car should have the correct, okay, close to the correct gear in it for the speedometer to be right. It should. Time will tell. Because that came out of a 92, and it was a Camaro also, so it should have came with a more performance rear end, I'm thinking. But you know, these automatic cars, they came with 277 rear ends, which is, I mean, it's a gear, but it's not like this one. Now the 4th gen Camaros, Firebirds, Trans Ams, Z28s, SSs, all those. Your SS 6-speeds, your Z28 6-speeds, and your Trans Am WS6s or your Trans Am 6-speeds should all have, I could be wrong, I don't think that I am, they should all have the 342 rear end. They should. Now, the V6 Camaros and the V6 Firebirds, some of those also had the 342 gear ratio. And they're all, I'm going to say it, any of them with a 342 gear ratio is more than likely disc brake. The one on the Bandit, that's still the original V6 type rear end in it. 342 gear ratio, disc brakes. So I didn't switch it because it was the better of the two. I think that car had the, I don't even remember what gear that car had in it factory. Maybe a 273. That's the ones you got to watch, is the V8 automatic. The V8 automatic, they kind of had a highway gear. I mean, granted, those cars they run really good. But if you're going to get a rear, if you're going to do this swap, I don't care if you keep your original drum set up. If you have a 10-bolt rear end in this car and it has 28 splined axles, you're good to go. You can use the guts, the Torsen type, that's also what they have. From what I've read, it's a better, more efficient type positive traction rear end. So I mean, I like it in the Bandito. It's pretty darn tough. But yeah, they have a Torsen type rear end gear with a posi. And I didn't even get to test drive this. I worked till like 1 o'clock in the morning last night, swapping all this over. And yeah, old dad's kind of hitting the mouth a little bit. So I'm kind of glad I didn't record it. It'd take like 3 times as long. But also, your brake line, let's just say you painted the rear end and you put all new copper brake line on it. It swaps over perfectly on that. You just kind of got to make a little holder for your rubber hoses that now come off your caliper. I got this rear end off a good friend of mine. Used to work with him. Well, I worked, he kind of just like showed up and stuff like that. You know what I mean, Rod? But he gave me a fair price, and usually you can pick these differentials up pretty cheap. You're going to have $300 to $400 in it generally. Ironically, that's what I have in that one, because, well, I did before I bought. Okay, I went and got cross-field rotors. because that's what I have up front. You got to have a match. It's just me. Can't help myself. But I did get the cross-drilled rotors, which cost me more. Overall, I don't regret it. I think it was a good ad. But for me, for you, for your budget, get the 4th gen rear end. They're a lot easier to find than a 3rd gen disc rear with a 345, and I think it was a G92 performance package type rear end. And you're going to pay, if somebody knows what they have in a 3rd gen, you're going to pay. But if you're ripping the rear end out of a V6 Firebird, most people don't know that car has that performance gear ratio. But you're going to have to check underneath the console, underneath this lid, right there, or maybe in there. I forget where it is. It's in the console. Check in there. As soon as you find the G80 code, you have a limited slip. Look for the GU 4, 5, 6, 2, 3, whatever it is. If you can't remember what the gear ratio is for it, just Google it. It's everywhere. So now if I would have got a complete swapped rear end, I mean, without me putting the brakes and all that stuff on it, this would have bolted just straight in just like it did. But I went through the brakes and I re-greased everything and painted the calipers and put the cross-drilled rotors and all that crap on it. But I don't regret it. And I can't wait to take this thing down the road. She's going to perform. Oh, even with a little 305 in it, it's going to be a fun ride. But I just want to show you guys that there is no clearance issues whatsoever. Also, let's just say for argument's sake, you want to run a 4th gen wheel. Now all you need is the adapters up front. You don't need them for the rear. So if I decide that I want to run Corvette wheels, 1, I already have the adapters for front and rear. 2, I don't need them for the rear anymore. So I can just bolt them straight on there. It's the same bolt pattern, all that good jazz. But now it's going to have the newer style spacing on the rear. So if you don't like that it sticks out further back here than what it used to, or what have you, I mean, you can slightly notice it might be a little further out. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna wait and see how it feels, because I don't know what that noise is, but that's so weird. Sounds like somebody's starting a weed eater, but anyway. So that's what happened with that. You are supposed to, while you're at the junkyard, grab that proportioning valve. Yes. Because you're supposed to, if you have disc drum set up, it will apply pressure differently to the rear. If you have disc brakes versus drum brakes, I'm telling you, there is a big difference. On these, I don't know about the master cylinder. I don't think it's different. I'm pretty sure they're the exact same, but you can Google that as well. I didn't. I just knew the proportioning valve was supposed to be a little different. Let's see, anything else? Nope. The emergency brake, that's the part you're gonna have to fix. Man, I had it working perfectly. What in the world? So anyway, the wife's calling, so she must know that I'm sneaking down here and doing a video. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. But if you have any questions, I can confirm 100% 4th gen does fit in a 3rd gen without clearance issues and works perfectly. It absolutely does. So there it is. I couldn't find one video that could absolutely positively confirm it. Right there, the proof is right there. No rub, no scrub. So that's gonna wrap this one up, and hopefully I helped some of you guys. And like I said, just check your gear ratios, check for that G80 code is the code you really want, because that's a posi, limited slip. All right. If you don't have that, you got an open. Check the tag if there's a tag on the rear. I don't want you running into the same thing that I did by not checking and running into 2 open differentials. Not that that happened, but it did. Anyway, that's enough for this video of all the yakking. Stay tuned. We got a Project Whatever coming up. And what I mean by Project Whatever is we may have... Yep. We got another one. This one here is a 5.3. What's it for? Project Whatever. Like whatever I come across. Whatever the next thing is. Project Whatever. And we're going to try to do a budget type build. A real budget type build. Because that 700R sitting over there that needs rebuilt, we're going to rebuild it and put it behind it. Yeah, I know that's a great idea, isn't it? 700R, 5.3. It'll probably last a week or burn out or two, right? But anyway, guys, I just want to thank you for watching, and it's getting a heck of a lot better. We're going to be starting on body work finally, and I think we're to that point. Yep, I think we are. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, shoot me a thing on the old face place, on here, whatever. Be glad to help. Until then, see you guys next time here on Right Turn Garage TV.